Who knew that I would spend the last 4 years ironically becoming a fan of Balaya and his cinema, and then to see a day where the biggest stars of Hindi cinema will try to emulate the same? What a crazy turn of events. Sunny Deol and his career in the last decade or so has been a turbulent one. It has seen years of irrelevance for mainly two reasons: a lack of evolution as an actor with the time, and associating with projects that had little new to offer. One really assumed that both Sunny Deol and Bobby Deol could never revive their careers, only for both of them to have an insane second innings that nobody envisioned. Bobby Deol with his stint on digital platforms and becoming more of a character actor in feature films, and Sunny Deol banking off of the void of mass cinema in Bollywood and the nostalgia euphoria that existed post the pandemic. He hit it out of the park with Gadar 2, absolutely changing the trajectory of his future projects, presenting him in the slightly aged, yes, but still in the same angry strongman avatar that he was known for in the late 80s and early 90s. With Jaat, Sunny Deol collaborates with Gopichand, a popular Telugu director known for his massy cinema and who is honestly quite the mixed bag with his final output. I mean, his last film, Veerasimha Reddy, saw Balaya romancing Shruti Hassan, and in the same film, we saw Honey Rose play Balaya's mother, so it was quite an acid trip. However, Gopichand has a way of surprising you as well, which he did with the Ravi Teja starrer Crack. With Jaat, he brings the same commercial masala, at least in pitch, but with a different tale to tell, with Sunny Deol being in the forefront. The film focuses on a small coastal village in Andhra Pradesh that is terrorized by Rana Tunga, played by Randeep Hooda. The police seem to be powerless as the villagers fear taking any action against the dreaded gangster and his henchmen. A mysterious travelling figure in the form of Bhaskar Singh aka Jaat, played by Sunny Deol, stumbles upon this village, understands the plight of the innocent men and women, and makes it his mission to teach Rana Tunga a lesson in his quintessential Jaat style. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch Jaat in theatres or not. Forced integration of imagery and Dakumaraj. You can clearly tell when elements are sprinkled in a film just to being tick marks for social media brownie points versus really being needed in the story. You have the song O Ram Shri Ram utilized for the introduction of Sunny Deol's character to force a Ram versus Ravan narrative. The imagery is of good versus evil, but it is with very broad and lazy strokes in my opinion. Randeep Hooda is not presented as someone bright, scholarly, or someone advised badly. He's just evil in form. So for him to be presented as this extension of Ravan is rather vague and just for imagery's sake. It only makes me assume that the creators believe that the Hindi-speaking audience को थोड़ा रामायण का reference दे दो, they will just eat it up. You remember Salman Khan being introduced in Bajrangi Bhaijaan with the song Selfie Le Le Re? It's an extension of Pawan being a Hanuman Bhakt that stays consistent throughout the film. In Jaat, it almost seems like marketing optics than any thought being put on why we are doing this. The icing on the cake, however, is to see the first woman to give me her heart after I apologized. The star of Dakumaraj 105 Crores features in the song Touch Kiya, a generic item song as the villains in their Havas Wala Den dance and be in merry. The song sequence adds nothing to the story, and at least you know Hindi film creators were making some effort like in Stree 2 and Aaj Ki Raat to justify the integration of these songs as being essential parts of the story, but here Urvashi has no purpose, and if Jaat becomes a super hit, I hope she goes on a media interview run to claim she had a lot to do with its success. I would love to be a part of it. Misplaced casting. There is a method in the mass that is often overlooked in cinema. People take it for granted because it's lowbrow and assume everyone has the ability to pull it off. This is extremely misinformed, as the art of saying something outlandish or overdramatic and still making it convincing is truly an art form very few possess. I saw Saiyami Kher in this film playing the role of Vijay Lakshmi, a police officer, and I have seen possibly every film of hers, and she is convincing in everything that I have seen her featured in. However, she does seem out of her depth in this film. As the actor is used to being rather understated in her films, the over-the-top pitch just seemed uncomfortable for the actor to pull off in this movie. When addressing the villagers in a speech as she sees carnage around her, she seems devoid of that commanding presence that a leading officer should have, especially in the tone of dialogue delivery. Regina Cassandra plays the role of Rana Tunga's wife, playing an extension of what Varalakshmi Sarath Kumar played in Veerasimha Reddy. Regina, while being a co-conspirator of her husband's misdeeds lacks the mischievousness required for the role. Again, as I said, some actors just know the tadka of how much to give and how much to hold back in films of this pitch. And both actors for me just seemed to try hard but not be entirely convincing in their roles. When you see a Rani in a Mardani or a crazy role like that of Shreya Reddy and Timmudu, these roles require an added spunk and natural screen aura. I think that is often overlooked by actors in the industry. You just have it or you don't. Great setup and origin story. Taman with his score and music honestly presents a mixed bag with his composition for the film. But if I were to give him full marks for something, it has to be the score with which he presents Rana Tunga played by Randeep Hooda. Honestly, you will watch this film and realize that Randeep Hooda has been presented in such a skilled fashion that even Sunny Deol's stylistic entries pale in comparison. Taman provides Randeep this horrifying score, as if Randeep is an extension of death itself, and it beautifully sets up the villain for the movie. There was so much thought behind where Rana Tunga comes from that I genuinely started to think that if they put the same level of effort on Sunny Deol's origin story and motivation, it would have been such a knockout of a film. The film has a way to gaslight you into believing that this is going to be an exceptional ride without any bumps, especially with the way it presents Randeep. He has such a swagger, he presents his menacing nature with such ease. Rana Tunga is a man of few words, but the moment someone crosses the line, it's when all hell breaks loose. Randeep presents this simmering anger brilliantly. Vineet Kumar Singh, the loose cannon brother, is also entertaining to watch, channelizing the egotistical yet naive fool to perfection. All of this, however, made me crave for a better final product for Rana Tunga, because the way this film sets up to what it eventually becomes is a tragedy. I'll dwell on that a little more in the conclusion, but Randeep is an exceptional actor, often underutilized by Hindi cinema. Tone-deaf moments. The film in many ways is outdated, and I think for everyone who had seen the trailer, I know you're going to tell me, well, no Jammy, we aren't stepping in for this film to see something unique or out of this world, but just a mass extravaganza. But I have to tell you that the role of women in this universe slightly made me uncomfortable and angry. The purpose of women in this film is merely to be stripped, their complexion to be ridiculed, their honor being compromised, or to dance in an item song. Saiyami Kher as the police officer and her fellow female officers that accompany her are subject to violence and harassment that constantly plays on the big screen. Any woman even voicing their opinion is met with their clothes being stripped, and these acts of violence against women play at regular intervals, only for the male savior to come to the rescue. This really makes for what was a fun, massy action film dedicated to the star that is Sunny Deol, to outdated moral lectures on women and Desh Ki Mitti in the second half. On another note completely, actors like Jagapati Babu and Ramya Krishnan are terribly wasted in this film, mostly reacting to the events versus being active parts to anything happening. Bablu Prithviraj, on the other hand, is just terrible, hamming his way through most of the film, feeling like an extension of his character from Leela. Now with every Bollywood film also, they are trying to use Upendra Lemai just to hype up the hero, and this may work for some films, but when it's utilized for every project, it just loses its charm. Incredible first half and undeniable screen presence. I will not lie to you, the first half of Jaat is so entertaining, so engaging and so much fun that I genuinely started believing that Gopichand may have cooked all of us a surprise. You know the hook that everyone was intrigued by in the trailer? It was the line delivered by Sunny Deol where he says, "Sorry bol." This is an integral theme of the film that moves the story forward and accounts for several entertaining sequences where Sunny Deol teaches the villains a lesson. What's funny is that these scenes may seem outlandish, but they are delivered with such conviction and sincerity that you buy into it. As I previously said, some people just know the sauce of massy cinema, and Sunny Deol is undeniably one of them. Sunny Deol at 67 years old, through his dialogue delivery, through his physical dedication to the role, brings more conviction than Bollywood heroes younger than him. He has such life behind those eyes, such gravitas in those one-liners, that you just can't look away. What Murgudas could not do with Salman, Gopichand has done with Sunny Deol and his screen aura. But what I will say after this is the problem that most films of this nature suffer from. Raita Phelana. When a film features a star like Sunny Deol, especially after the mammoth success of Gadar 2, on paper only, the pitch to a star like him cannot be something that is small in nature. It has to be bigger, and when projects like this scale up, they often lose track of the core conflict of what made it so exciting. When the film is placed as an ego battle between the Jaat and Ranatunga and his men, it's playful and so entertaining. It becomes a play of fickle egos in battle. But the movie, in its second half, takes itself so seriously that it extends the world to become a national issue. It becomes about several elements beyond the confines of the small coastal village. The action sequences become even more incoherent, just showcasing money shots of either Sunny Deol walking in slow motion or goons flying in the air. The climax action sequence, which is supposed to be this big Jaat versus Ranatunga face-off, has to be the most underwhelming of the set pieces. The drama is replaced with action set pieces after the other, which get exhausting. The film becomes melodramatic with every other scene, having the Hindi dubbed trope of "Tum jante bhi ho wo kaun hai, tum jante nahi wo kaun hai." The CBI, the army, the president, everyone becomes involved, and the initial charm of Jaat also fades away, making it like any other Sankranti Telugu release, just with Sunny Deol this time. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about Jaat. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.